He didn't want to mate with a disabled alien girl, but when he saw her naked, he couldn't resist. The war had ended 3 months ago, though someone forgot to tell the universe. The stars still looked bruised, space debris still floated like old confetti, and the half-collapsed moon where Rian Holt had been stationed still reeked of burnt ozone and regret. He was supposed to feel victorious. Instead, he was babysitting a med bay full of alien leftovers and broken drones that coughed smoke whenever he walked past. He flipped through his assignment file again, because denial was his favorite coping mechanism. Subject, Illyrian female, injured. Found among crashed vessel debris. Status, unresponsive. Duty, ensure survival until transport. Simple words, but the implication was clear. Someone upstairs had decided a low-ranking commander with no medical training was perfect for caring for an alien woman who might wake up and vaporize him out of habit. When he entered the quarantine room, the lights dimmed automatically, either because of the moon's failing power grid or because the alien inside preferred it dark. On the table lay the most unnerving, beautiful thing he'd ever seen. She looked almost human, if humans came in silver veins and soft luminescence. Her long ears twitched faintly, delicate and oddly graceful. Half her body shimmered with faint blue light beneath translucent skin, pulsing to a rhythm that didn't match any heartbeat he'd ever heard. "Hi there," he said awkwardly, pulling a stool closer. "I'm Commander Rian Holt. I'm here to assist you in not dying." He waited. Nothing. She didn't move, didn't blink. Only the quiet hum of her mechanical systems answered him. He exhaled and tapped the wall console. "Medical AI, status check." A distorted voice replied, cheerful in the way only malfunctioning software could be. "Subject stable. Prognosis maybe." "Maybe." Rian frowned. "Could you be more specific?" "Certainly. Probability of survival, 63%, assuming minimal interference by underqualified humans." "Thanks," he muttered. "Real motivational." The AI beeped, as if proud of itself. Rian leaned forward. There was something about her stillness that unsettled him, not deathly, just quiet, like someone who'd seen too much to bother moving again. Her eyelids fluttered once, and he froze. Slowly, she opened her eyes. They glowed faintly, a color that shifted between silver and stormlight. "Where?" Her voice was soft but rough, filtered through the translator chip at her throat. The words came out warped, lagging. "Where am I?" "You're in medical quarantine," he said carefully. "You were injured during the evacuation. We found you near Sector 13. Her gaze flickered toward him, unfocused. "You are human." "Guilty," he said. "Don't hold it against me. I didn't start the war." For a second, her lips twitched. He wasn't sure if it was pain or amusement. "War," she whispered. "End it." "Supposedly," he said, though the politicians are still arguing about who gets to write the heroic speeches. She blinked, slow and uncertain, and then her translator glitched again. "I require pancake calibration." He frowned. "Sorry, what?" Her brow furrowed. "Pancake calibra." She paused, listening to the translator, then groaned. "That is not correct." He tried not to laugh. "Failed spectacularly. You want pancakes, huh?" She glared, weak but sharp. "Your machine broken." "It's the moon," he said, raising his hands. "Everything here's broken, including, possibly, me." Her glare softened into something almost curious. "You fix me." "I can try," he said. "But full disclosure, my medical license is limited to can apply bandages without fainting." Her long ears twitched once, like they were scanning him for sarcasm. "Acceptable." "Really?" She nodded slightly. "Better than Illyrian doctors. They left me." That shut him up. He busied himself checking her vitals. Temperature normal, circuit stable, pulse irregular but steady. When he touched the scanner to her wrist, faint light rippled through her skin, like liquid mercury. The glow was hypnotic. "You are staring," she said softly. He blinked. "Sorry. Professional curiosity. Definitely not existential awe. Humans, always pretending not to be afraid of what they admire." "Hey," he said, forcing a grin. "We're brave in stupid ways. It's practically our brand." The translator hiccuped again, turning her sigh into static. He adjusted the interface, fingers brushing against the soft curve of her mechanical shoulder. Her body was warm, unexpectedly warm. She didn't flinch. Instead, she tilted her head, studying him like he was some strange specimen she hadn't decided to dissect yet. "Why help me?" she asked after a long silence. He hesitated. "Because someone has to." She considered that, as if measuring the truth in it. "You pity me." "I know," he said, a little too quickly. "I just don't like seeing anyone left behind." "Even enemy?" He shrugged. "Especially enemy. Otherwise, we just keep proving each other right." Her lips curved faintly, and for the first time, it looked like a real smile. Strange human. "I get that a lot." Her eyelids drooped again, exhaustion settling over her. The glow beneath her skin dimmed to a soft shimmer. He sat there, listening to the faint hum of her breathing, half machine, half life. Before her consciousness faded entirely, she murmured something barely audible. "Rian. Holt. That's your designation." He blinked. "Yeah. Why?" A pause. "Strange name." "Thanks," he said dryly. "Yours isn't exactly easy on the translator." "Lyra," she whispered, almost smiling again. "My name is Lyra." The lights flickered once, casting them both in blue shadow. Rian leaned back, exhaling slowly. "Nice to meet you, Lyra," he said quietly. "Try not to explode while I'm on shift." Her long ears twitched, and though she was half asleep, he could swear she almost laughed. Outside, the stars still burned faintly through the cracks of the failing dome. Somewhere deep in the moon's buried systems, power couplings hummed out of sync, as if even the machinery wasn't sure how to move on after a war. Rian looked at her one last time before leaving the room, this strange, broken creature of light and scars, and muttered under his breath, "They really sent me the weirdest patient in the galaxy." From the bed, a faint voice answered, barely above a whisper, "You're welcome." The following morning, Rian discovered two things about Lyra. First, she had managed to rewire her own life support console while half asleep. Second, she had the temper of a sunspot when interrupted. He found her sitting upright on the med table, silvery cables dangling from her mechanical arm, sparks fizzing softly as she muttered to herself in Illyrian. "You're not supposed to be up," he said, setting down a tray of nutrient packs. "I am not supposed to exist," she replied flatly without looking at him. "Yet here we are." He raised an eyebrow. "You know, most patients start with good morning." She frowned, tugging at a cable. "Is it good?" "Define good." "Then it is neither." She gave a sharp twist, and the console gave an ominous crackle. He winced. "Please tell me that noise wasn't something vital." "Only to your electrical grid." "Great. We'll both die of boredom and darkness." Lyra tilted her head, faint amusement flickering across her face. "You fear darkness. I fear tripping over my own boots in the dark and dying stupidly, yes." Her ears twitched. "That is the valid fear." He grinned. "See, we're bonding." She didn't answer, but the faint hum of her circuits changed pitch, softer now, as though she found that thought oddly acceptable. Over the next few days, they developed a strange routine. He would bring her supplies, nutrient gel, tools, and occasionally an old datapad full of pre-war comedies that she pretended not to like, but watched anyway. She would spend hours tinkering with her cybernetics, ignoring his protests that medical recovery didn't include open surgery hobby time. Once, she asked for a soldering iron and a mirror. When he asked why, she said, "To improve what your engineers failed to understand." He had learned not to argue. Still, he couldn't deny that she was healing fast. The mechanical parts responded with fluid precision now, glowing lines pulsing faintly when she moved. The flesh around her augmentations looked stronger, almost seamless. If not for the long ears and faint shimmer beneath her skin, she could almost pass for human. Almost. One afternoon, he found her standing by the observation window, her reflection half light, half metal. The void beyond the glass stretched endlessly, black, cold, and dotted with distant stars. "You're going to hurt yourself if you stand too long," he said. "I am testing balance." He folded his arms. How's that going? She wobbled, steadied herself, and glared at him. Perfectly. Sure looked like it. She scowled, but he saw her lips twitch. You enjoy mocking disabled aliens? He blinked. What? No, Her laugh interrupted him, sharp and quick. Joking. You humans are very easy to confuse. Not true, he said, pretending to be offended. We just have more layers of social awkwardness. It's an art. Her ears flicked, her equivalent of a smirk. You are very artistic then. Thanks, I think. He noticed she was still trembling slightly. Without thinking, he reached out to steady her. The moment his hand brushed her arm, he felt it. The faint vibration of energy beneath her skin, a hum that wasn't quite mechanical or biological. She froze but didn't pull away. You're warm, he said quietly. I am alive, she said simply. Right. I just didn't expect it. Did you think I would be cold, Metal? Well, I didn't think you'd be this. He stopped himself. Never mind. Say it. He hesitated, then sighed. Beautiful, all right? It's strange, but beautiful. She stared at him for a long moment. Then softly. Humans see beauty in damage. He shrugged. Maybe. Or maybe we just see stories and things that refuse to break. Her translator buzzed softly, glitching for a second before translating. Your logic is inefficient, but acceptable. He chuckled. That's the nicest thing anyone said to me this week. They worked together that evening repairing the station's failing filtration system. She was infinitely better at it than he was, though she found his attempts entertaining. When he nearly welded his own sleeve to a circuit board, she covered her mouth, trying, and failing, not to laugh. Stop laughing, he muttered. You said this was your specialty. I lied. I can see that. Great bedside manner, he grumbled. Better than your soldering technique. Low blow. Accurate blow. He tried to glare but ended up grinning. There was something oddly human about her teasing, something that made the cold metallic edges of the station feel warmer. Later, after the repairs, she examined her mechanical hand and flexed the fingers, watching the faint blue light move beneath the plating. You do not fear me, she said suddenly. I'm trying not to think about how easily you could crush my skull with that hand, he replied. Comforting, she said dryly. I mean it. I don't fear you. Then you are either very brave, she said, her gaze meeting his, or very foolish. Why not both? Her laughter came quietly, soft and electric. You remind me of my crew. They joked during battle. Said laughter kept fear small. Smart crew. They died. The air went still. He opened his mouth to say something, then closed it again. There wasn't a good response for that. She looked away, her reflection flickering in the glass. Finally, he said, Then we'll laugh for them. She blinked at him. Strange human. Still my brand. For a while, they just stood there, him, leaning against the wall. Her, bathed in the dim silver of her own light. Somewhere deep in the moon's fractured infrastructure, the generators hummed a steady rhythm, as if syncing with the faint pulse beneath her skin. When she finally spoke again, her voice was softer. You fix machines, Commander Holt. Sometimes. Then perhaps, she said, looking at her glowing hand, you can teach me to fix myself. He smiled faintly. We'll start with the easy parts, like your sense of humor. My humor is flawless. It's terrifying. Flawless, she repeated, and for the first time since he'd met her, he heard a trace of real laughter in her voice. The moon's power grid failed sometime after midnight, which Rian only realized when his coffee machine coughed, sparked, and died mid-brew. The silence that followed was absolute. No hum of reactors, no flicker of light from the ceiling panels, just the oppressive dark and the faint sound of his own swearing. Backup generator, he muttered, tapping his wrist console. Nothing. Perfect. Of course. He grabbed a flashlight from the supply drawer and stumbled toward the med bay. The beam cut through the dark like a hesitant finger, revealing floating dust and the occasional flicker of distant circuitry, trying to remember how to function. He wasn't worried, mostly annoyed, until a faint blue glow appeared ahead, moving. Lyra. Her voice came softly, steady despite the dark. Your power grid has surrendered. It's just a blackout, he said, stepping inside. Happens all the time. On human colonies. Only the good ones. She was sitting upright, the glow from her veins illuminating the room. In the pitch black, she looked almost ethereal, the light pulsing faintly beneath her skin like the rhythm of a living star. You are glowing, he said, more to fill the silence than anything. I am not glowing, she replied calmly. You are simply inefficient at seeing in darkness. He snorted. Thanks for the reminder, flashlight alien. Her ears twitched in amusement. That is not a scientific term. It is now. She regarded him quietly. You are unsettled. Because my coffee died a tragic death, yes. I can generate energy if required. Wait, you can power machines. In theory. Small devices. Rian blinked. You're telling me you've been a walking power source this whole time, and I've been living like a caveman. You did not ask. He stared at her, then laughed helplessly. Unbelievable. The first alien I don't shoot on sight, and she's my personal battery. She smiled faintly. Be grateful. Some of my kind drain power instead of sharing it. Good thing I drew the generous one. Debatable. She extended her hand, and faint light flared from her palm. A hum filled the air, and one of the dead wall panels flickered to life, trembling with restored energy. For a few seconds, everything looked normal again, until the light exploded in a shower of sparks. Rian ducked. Okay, maybe not that much energy. She tilted her head. Your system is fragile. My system wasn't built to handle alien mood swings. I am not emotional, she said, though her glow pulsed brighter for a second. Sure you're not, he muttered. When the lights finally stabilized at half brightness, they sat across from each other on the floor, sharing a single ration bar like a peace treaty. The emergency heaters hummed weakly, casting uneven warmth. Do you miss your world? He asked after a while. She looked thoughtful. Ellora is quiet. The sky moves in colors your kind cannot name, but it no longer wants me. He frowned. Because of... She tapped the metal plating along her arm. Corruption. Machine within flesh. To them, I am impure. He leaned back. You know, for a species so advanced, that's pretty backward. Every species fears what mirrors them too closely, she said softly. You humans fear machines becoming you. My people fear becoming machines. He smirked. So basically, everyone's terrified of each other for being relatable. Her mouth curved faintly. An efficient summary. He nodded. I'm full of those. It's my best survival trait. They fell into comfortable silence. Outside, meteors traced faint streaks across the cracked dome above them. Inside, the faint hum of her inner circuits provided a strange sort of peace. Rian had never been good at quiet moments. They usually gave him too much room to think. But with Lyra, silence didn't feel empty. Eventually, he broke it anyway. So, what exactly can you do with all that power stuff? She glanced at him. Would you like a demonstration? Unless it ends with me glowing too, sure. She raised her hand again. The air shimmered faintly, and his wrist console beat back to life. Then, before he could react, a small hologram appeared between them, tiny, flickering, and unmistakably shaped like a cat chasing its tail. He blinked. Is that a cat? She looked at it critically. It was the first image in your memory storage. He flushed. That was a training simulation, for agility drills. It is chasing an imaginary object. It's metaphorical. Her laughter was bright and almost human. You have strange metaphors, Commander Holt. Don't judge. Some of us find spiritual meaning in dumb things. Then perhaps I will learn. He smiled despite himself. Careful, you'll end up liking humans. Unlikely, she said, though her tone was lighter. Another silence, softer this time. She seemed to study him, the glow of her circuitry casting faint light across his face. You look different when you laugh, she said. Better or worse? Less haunted. He didn't know what to say to that, so he just looked at the holographic cat, now looping endlessly in its pursuit. Guess laughter's an upgrade too. She tilted her head. Then I will assist you in maintaining it. Is that an Illyrian promise or a threat? Unclear. He chuckled. You really should work on your bedside manner. I am not your patient anymore, she said, almost proudly. Yeah, he admitted quietly. You're not. Somewhere beyond the dome, the emergency reactor finally kicked back to life, humming through the floor like a pulse returning to a long silent heart. The lights stabilized, soft and steady. The holographic cat vanished. Lyra lowered her hand, her glow dimming to its usual rhythm. System restored, she said. He stretched, trying to sound casual. Good work, Dr. Alien. She raised an eyebrow. And you, Nurse Human. That's Commander Human. Thank you very much. She smiled, ears twitching faintly. Promotions are meaningless on dead moons. Don't ruin this for me. Her laughter came again, quiet and genuine, and for a moment, in that half-lit room, surrounded by the debris of two species' mistakes, it sounded like the universe itself had remembered how to breathe. The alarm blared before dawn, sharp and insistent, cutting through the dim hum of the med bay. Rian bolted upright, knocking over a tray of nutrient gel. All ready? What now? Human patrol, Lyra said, her voice calm, almost too calm. They are scanning for survivors. They will dissect you, then me. Rian froze. Wait, dissect me? Hypothetically. For protocol. He blinked. Why am I suddenly more worried than usual? She tilted her head, long ears flicking. You always fear bureaucracy more than death. It is deficient. Great, thanks for the pep talk. They didn't have time for more. Lyra moved with a fluid grace, half her mechanical arm adjusting in real time, sparks fizzing faintly as she interfaced with the station's comm arrays. I can mask our signatures temporarily, she said, but we must leave. Leave where? Anywhere the patrol cannot follow. Tunnels beneath the moon, old Illyrian escape routes. He grabbed his pack. I was hoping you'd say something less claustrophobic. She smirked faintly. Claustrophobic? You are a human, Commander Holt. You thrive in confined spaces with danger. This is comfort for you. Terrifying comfort, he muttered. They moved quickly, slipping past broken hallways and emergency doors that creaked ominously. Lyra's glow pulsed softly, guiding the way. I can calibrate your vision for low-light environments, she said, but you must promise not to trip over anything obvious. I promise nothing. She rolled her eyes. Humans are fragile poetry. Proceeding anyway. When they reached the surface tunnels, the cold struck first, sharp enough to make his teeth chatter. Lyra adjusted her mechanical legs, balancing perfectly despite the uneven ground. You should adapt your gait. You are inefficient. I like my inefficiency, he said, hobbling alongside her. It builds character. You are stubborn, she said, though the hum of her circuits betrayed amusement. I prefer the term persistent, he replied. They descended deeper into the tunnels, the patrol ships scanning above them. Every few seconds, a distant hum or vibration reminded them that they were being hunted. Lyra paused at a junction, interfacing with a panel on the wall. Sparks flickered, lights blinked, and a small holographic map appeared. We have options. Left is faster, but heavily monitored. Right is slower, less predictable. Slow and unpredictable it is, Rian said. Wise choice, she replied, glancing at him. For a human. Hours passed as they navigated the tunnels, Lyra guiding them past collapsed sections and automated defense grids. Occasionally, she would make him jump, casually pointing out, "Do not touch that," just as he almost tripped over a dormant turbolaser. "Why do you keep pointing that out?" he grumbled. "Because you are human, Commander Holt. Predictable. Entertaining. Dangerous. Thanks. I'll take that as a compliment." She made a noise that was almost laughter. "It is meant to amuse. Consider yourself humbled." They paused in a wide cavern where bioluminescent moss glowed faintly, illuminating the rough walls. Lyra removed her bandages, letting the soft light reveal the delicate lattice of silver veins and pulsing circuitry across her body. "This is why they hate me," she said quietly. Rian swallowed. Why do they leave someone like you behind? They fear difference, she said, and perfection and imperfection. He tried not to stare too openly at the faint glow beneath her skin, the mix of metal and flesh that made her both vulnerable and invincible. They're idiots, he said finally. Her long ears twitched. You are human. You say things without thinking. Careful, that's my specialty, he replied. The patrol ships were getting closer. Lyra interfaced with a terminal embedded in the cavern wall, sending false signals to mask their presence. We have a small window, she said. We can reach the surface. He nodded. Lead the way. They moved quickly, carefully, until they reached the mouth of the tunnel. The moon's barren landscape stretched before them, dotted with distant patrol lights. Lyra's glow pulsed brighter, signaling readiness. You ready to be illegal fugitives? He asked, trying to keep his tone light. Ready? She said, extending her hand. He took it. The warmth of her skin, the faint hum of energy beneath, made his chest tighten. You're glowing a lot, he said, trying to mask his awe with humor. Not glowing, she said, amused. Radiating. Observe carefully, human. Subtle differences matter. He grinned. Right, radiating. Whatever keeps me alive. They ran together across the moon's surface, dodging patrol sensors and automated drones. Lyra moved with uncanny grace, Rian stumbling after her, but keeping pace. She whispered instructions, but occasionally paused to tease him. You move like a gravity-inept toddler, she said. I prefer intentionally chaotic, he shot back. Her soft laughter echoed in the tunnels behind them. Intentionally chaotic. Yes, that suits you. They reached a ridge overlooking a crater where the patrol ships were congregating. Lyra's glow pulsed, interfacing with a buried terminal. I can send a signal to the neutral zones, she said. They will see that an Illyrian and a human survived together. Rian raised an eyebrow. Broadcast our fugitive status. They will not find us there, she said, and the record may buy us time. He hesitated. You sure about this? She looked at him, glowing faintly under the weak starlight. Are you? He swallowed, then nodded. Yeah, I'm sure. Together, they triggered the beacon. The transmission pulsed into the void, a message of survival, defiance, and perhaps hope. The patrol ships reacted instantly, scanning frantically, but Lyra's interference scrambled their sensors. Sparks flew from her arm where she interfaced, and Rian shielded her instinctively. Careful, he shouted. I am fine, she said, ignoring the faint sparks and smoke curling from her mechanical limb. You don't look fine. I do not care about appearances, she said, smiling faintly. Guess that makes two of us, he said, though his heart raced faster than his legs could run. The patrols were retreating. The signal had done its job. For a moment, they stood together on the ridge, panting, glowing alive. You could have left me, she said quietly, long ears flicking. He shook his head. I didn't think about leaving you. I thought about surviving, and surviving means keeping you alive. She studied him, eyes shimmering faintly with reflected starlight. Then you are either brave or foolish. Maybe both, he said. Her lips curved into a faint, genuine smile. Strange human. Still my brand, he replied. Somewhere deep in the crater, the automated drones hummed in confusion. The patrol ships receded, and for the first time in months, the war felt like it belonged to someone else. She let him hold her arm as they descended into the shadows, heading toward the safety of the hidden tunnels. A strange alliance of half-machine and stubborn human, bound together by circumstance, defiance, and something neither of them wanted to name yet. The first light of dawn crept across the moon's fractured surface, pale and cold, yet it carried a strange sense of hope. Rian and Lyra had reached the edge of a hidden valley, where the tunnels opened into a natural basin bathed in soft bioluminescence from the native moss. They paused, catching their breath, alert for patrols that might still be hunting them. You did well, Rian said, brushing dust from his uniform. I mean it. That beacon had bought us time. Lyra flexed her fingers, circuits pulsing faintly. You did not fear me. Not much, he said, except when you nearly vaporized me with your power output. She tilted her head. That was a necessary precaution. Necessary, he repeated. Sure, let's call it that. They shared a brief laugh. Even in the aftermath of pursuit, she could make humor feel easy, human. Rian, she said after a pause, why did you stay? He shrugged, trying to act casual, though his chest felt tight. Because I couldn't leave you behind. Doesn't mean I'm noble. Mostly means I'm stubborn. And selfish, maybe. You are human, she said softly. Your contradictions are predictable. And yet charming, he added. She didn't respond immediately, only tilted her head in her quiet way, ears twitching. Do you trust me? He asked. I do. And yet I do not, she said with a faint smile. Trust is not something easily rebuilt when one is half machine and half abandoned. Well, he said, taking a deep breath. Good thing I'm good at rebuilding things. For hours, they moved through the valley, Lyra's circuits lighting the path as he stumbled occasionally, her teasing keeping the tension from crushing them. She would flick her glowing fingertips across broken comm panels or buried terminals, bringing them to life long enough to leave false readings for any patrols, then wink at him as if to say, You're welcome, human. By midday, they reached an abandoned observation station at the far end of the valley, buried partially under rock and moss. It had once been a research outpost. Now, it would serve as their refuge. Home sweet abandoned facility, Rian said, dragging a supply pack inside. I do not require home, Lyra said. I require safety and companionship. Companionship, huh? He paused, surprised by how easily her words landed. You mean me? Correct, she replied plainly, as if that were the simplest thing in the universe. He chuckled nervously. Well, I guess we're stuck with each other then. Lucky me. She tapped the nearest console, sending a long-range signal into the neutral zones, broadcasting their survival and a claim to safe asylum. They will see that humans and Illyrians can survive together, she said. Peaceful survival, Rian added. We're basically diplomats now. Diplomats who nearly die every other hour, she said dryly. He laughed. Hey, that keeps life interesting. Later, they sat across from each other, ration bars in hand. The glow of her body illuminated her features, the half-metal, half-flesh, the long ears twitching faintly, the soft shimmer in her eyes. For a long moment, they didn't speak, just watched the slow rise and fall of each other's breaths. You have changed me, she said finally, her voice quiet but deliberate. I think you mean I changed you, he said. No, she replied. You taught me that not all humans abandon what they cannot understand. Some protect it. He looked at her, genuinely seeing the fragility beneath the glowing veins, the strength that came from survival, and the humor that kept her humanity intact despite it all. You taught me that bravery isn't just about fighting. It's about staying when it's easier to run. A silence settled, comfortable and real. They had both grown in ways they hadn't anticipated, molded by danger, trust, and unexpected connection. Then, impulsively, Rian reached out, his hand brushing hers. You don't have to look at me, she whispered. I already am, he replied, holding her gaze. She smiled faintly, a genuine curve of lips that illuminated more than her body ever could. Perhaps we are not so different. No, he said, not different, just human enough. Hours passed as they planned their next steps. How to survive, where to go, what allies they might find in the neutral zones. Each plan was tentative, subject to change, yet each felt solid because they were together. When the first patrol ships scouted nearby, the signal and her interference kept them undetected. Rian realized he no longer felt fear, only determination, tempered with a strange sense of humor. Even if the universe was still chaotic, they had carved a small space for themselves. Tomorrow, he said, we'll fix that generator fully. And maybe, if I survive your training, I'll learn how to move without looking like a gravity-challenged clod. She laughed softly, the sound bright against the silent hum of the station. Perhaps tomorrow, she said. Night fell over the moon, soft and still. Rian leaned back, finally allowing himself to relax, feeling the pulse of her circuits in rhythm with the slow rise and fall of his chest. He realized he had changed, no longer just a soldier following orders, but a man capable of connection, loyalty, and even love in unexpected forms. Lyra's eyes met his again. "You are strange, human. I suppose I will endure you." "Endure me?" he asked, grinning. "You are persistent. It is tolerable," she said, her glow soft and steady. "Then it's a deal," he said. "We survive. Together." Her hand brushed his again, a small pulse of light bridging the gap between metal and flesh. "Together," she confirmed. Outside, the stars continued to burn, indifferent yet constant. Inside, two unlikely survivors had forged a bond that would outlast the war, the patrols, and the fear. They had faced danger, loss, and their own assumptions, and in doing so, discovered something neither could have anticipated: hope, connection, and the quiet, luminous pulse of life persisting in even the darkest corners of the universe. And for the first time in months, Reinhold allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, the universe wasn't entirely broken. The end.